Hi, I'm Karen Curry Parker. I want to give you in this video a very short introduction to the emotional freedom techniques. In this video, I'm going to break down for you the parts of EFT, the emotional freedom techniques. I'm going to show you the meridian acupressure points that we use in EFT. I'm going to troubleshoot a couple of things that you might encounter as you go through the process of doing EFT. And I want to tell you ahead of time, my purpose in this video is not to in any way train you to use EFT, but to instead just give you a really nice short introduction so that if you work with a quantum alignment system practitioner, or you attend a quantum alignment program, or you're getting ready to train to become a quantum alignment system practitioner, you have a very short introduction to EFT, the emotional freedom techniques, that will allow you to jump right in with your practitioner and not spend too much of your really precious time learning the basics of EFT. I want you, when you start working with your practitioner or your leader, to be able to dive right in and get ready to start reframing and telling the true story, a bigger, better, juicier, more abundant, more well-being oriented story about who you really are so that you can begin to live the life you were born to live. I'm going to break down for you first the parts of EFT. Then I'm going to show you the points on the body that we use for EFT. And then I'm going to put the whole thing together for you so that you can see what it might look like and be ready for your very first quantum alignment system practitioner session or quantum alignment program session. EFT, the first part in EFT is called the setup phrase. The setup phrase goes something like this, and you'll be creating one with your practitioner specific to you. The setup phrase simply says, even though I have this problem, and it's a fill in the blank kind of a problem. So even though I have this fill in the blank problem, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. When you work with a practitioner, you're going to repeat that statement 3 times. And while you're repeating it, you're going to be tapping on specific points on the body, which I'll show you in just a minute. Sometimes when people hear that statement, even though I have this problem, I deeply and completely love and accept myself, they get nervous because they feel like they're affirming something negative. I want to remind you, if you feel that way, to really listen to the entire sentence. The entire sentence says, even though in this moment, I'm having this perception of my story that sounds like this and seems like this, in spite of that perception, I deeply and I completely love and accept myself. With that statement, we're diminishing resistance. We're creating receptivity and an opening for you to be able to begin to say, hey, I have this perspective. It's not really serving me. In spite of it, I really love and accept myself. How can I start making a cognitive reframe from this old story into a bigger, better story that better tells the truth, better encompasses the full scope of me loving and accepting myself? The second part of the EFT process is called the reminder phrase. As you continue to move through tapping on meridian acupressure points on the body related to the meridians from Chinese medicine, you're going to focus on what's called the reminder phrase. The reminder phrase is simply a short phrase, again, that your practitioner will give you. You don't have to figure any of this out. Your practitioner is going to give you a short reminder phrase that's going to remind you to stay focused on whatever it is, the story you're telling, the pain you might be experiencing, the symptoms in your body you might be having. Your practitioner is going to give you a reminder phrase, and they're going to repeat it over and over again as you keep tapping to keep you honed in and focused on whatever it is you're working on releasing out of the body or shifting in your mind. Your body and your mind hold a lot of stories. They hold a lot of memories, sometimes not always conscious. Your body is imprinted with the entirety of the story you're telling and you're holding. As we focus on it while tapping, we start to, again, create an opening. We start to really open the door and kind of begin to unpeel, if you will, the onion. It's kind of like unpeeling an onion, the onion of your story. And as we go through layer by layer, as your body reveals or your mind reveals layer by layer of what's underneath the entirety of the story, you start to create enough critical mass in that transformation and that shift in perspective that eventually you change the whole story. The story itself collapses, and now you have room in that experience to fill up your own cup, your own energy field, your own mind and body with a story of your own choosing. So first step is the setup phrase, even though I have this problem, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. The second part is going to be the reminder phrase. The third thing I'm going to show you are the actual meridian points that we're going to be tapping on. You're going to be tapping with about 3 to 4 fingers. You're going to be tapping at a moderate pressure. You don't want to do like light butterfly fingers as you tap, but you want to tap firmly but gently. You don't want to pound on yourself, especially if the emotional energy gets intense. You don't want to pound on yourself. Just tap, gently but firmly. The first place that you're going to tap, and this is actually where you're going to tap while you are repeating your setup phrase, is you're going to tap on the side of the hand. It's the soft, fleshy part of your hand underneath your pinky. You're going to tap with the opposite hand. By the way, you can tap with one hand and switch midstream, or you can stay on one hand. Doesn't matter if you use your left hand or your right hand. There are very few rules with EFT, so it's a pretty malleable, pretty easy process, and it's very hard to kind of get wrong. So you're going to tap on this soft outside part of the hand, and while you're tapping on that soft outside part of the hand, you're going to repeat the setup phrase. Even though I have this problem, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Even though I have this problem, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Even though I have this problem, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Once you complete that piece, you're then going to start tapping through an algorithm that starts at the top of the head and works its way down through core, meridian, acupressure points on the face and the neck and under the arm. While you're repeating those points, or while you're tapping on those points, again, 3 to 4 fingers, moderate pressure, you're going to be using your reminder phrase, which again, your practitioner will give to you. You don't have to figure this out. So after you tap on the side of the hand and repeat the setup phrase 3 times, then you will go to the top of the head and the crown of the head. That's your first point. I'm going to squat down here a little bit more so you can see it. You're going to tap at the top of the head 7 to 10 times. Gently but firmly, and repeating your reminder phrase. The next point is going to be in the front of your eyebrow. So if you can kind of feel your eye socket here, the front of the eyebrow is sort of on the inside ridge of your eye socket. Again, you're going to be tapping here 7 to 10 times using your reminder phrase. Then you're going to follow your eye socket around to the outer edge. The next point here is on the outer edge of the eye socket. Again, tapping 7 to 10 times on this point. Then you're going to tap under the eye, again on the eye socket. So kind of follow the orbit of your eye 7 to 10 times. The next point is under your nose, halfway between the bottom of your nose and the top of your lip. The next point is in the cleft of your lip, sort of halfway between the bottom of your lip and the bottom of your chin. The next point is what's called the collarbone point, and the collarbone point is where your the point of your collarbone is pretty prominent. You're going to go 2 finger breadths over and tap here. For some of you, this is not a very prominent point. Some of us have very prominent collarbones, some of us don't. If you can't find your collarbone, go to the hollow of your throat and just kind of walk your fingers over until you find it. Then you can find that collarbone point. The last point is under the arm. You're going to tap, if you were a woman, right in the middle of your bra strap. It's even with the nipple line. You want to tap again 7 to 10 times. All of this time you're repeating the setup phrase, which I'll walk you through in just a second. Some of you may have a hard time reaching this under the arm point, especially if you either have large breasts or if you've had any kind of shoulder injury or breast surgery. There is an alternative point that you can use if you can't reach this under the arm point. If you look at your thumb and you follow the outer edge of your thumb down to your wrist, you can tap right here on the side of your wrist underneath your thumb. It's kind of a zingy point. You can tap on this point as an alternative to under the arm. So I'm going to walk you through now a sample setup phrase and a sample reminder phrase plus the tapping. And then I'm going to explain to you what to expect after you go through this with your practitioner. So you're going to show up for your practitioner. They're going to assess you. They're going to ask you some key statements. And if you are a generator, you're going to answer them with your sacral. They're going to be yes or no questions. You'll reply with If you are a manifester and a projector or reflector, if you have an open sacral, your leader is going to assess you by giving you an open-ended statement and giving you some space to talk through whatever the statement is. Because you don't want to be asked if you have an open sacral, because that causes you to respond with your conditioned sacral, which we don't want you to do. After your practitioner has assessed you, they're going to construct a setup phrase. So let's say that in the conversation that you have with your practitioner, you come up with the idea or the story that I don't have enough time. And that experience of feeling like you don't have enough time is creating a lot of stress and pressure for you, and feeling like you're overwhelmed and you can't get everything done and you're panicking about getting everything done. So we would start with a sample setup phrase, again, going to the side of the hand, on the side of the pinky, tapping on this point here. You would say, even though I feel like I don't have enough time, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Even though I feel like I don't have enough time, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Even though I am afraid I don't have enough time, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. That's the setup phrase part. Then you would move to the top of the head, where you're going to be using your reminder statement plus your meridian tapping points. So on the top of the head, you might have a reminder phrase that says, I don't have enough time. And we move to the front of the eye and repeat the reminder phrase, I don't have enough time. Then you would move to the side of the eye and repeat the reminder phrase, I don't have enough time. Then you would move under the eye and repeat the reminder phrase, don't have enough time. Under the nose, I don't have enough time. Chin, I don't have enough time. Collarbone, I don't have enough time. And under the arm, I don't have enough time. Now we come to what I think is probably the most important part of EFT. Once you tap, because what you're really doing is you're moving energy out of the body. You're looking at patterns in the body. You're looking at where energy patterns and story patterns are stored in the body. You're aligning those patterns with a new story that says, hey, even though I have this story, I really love myself and I really accept myself. As we start to create that opening through self-love and self-acceptance, the body starts letting go of old stories. It starts bringing up into our awareness things that we need to look at next as part of clearing and collapsing this story. So you might, in the first 30 seconds to a minute, and your practitioner will just wait with you after you're done tapping. In that pause time, you might experience something physical in the body. You might have emotions come up. You might have memories come up, things or thoughts that you haven't thought of in a long time. Whatever shows up, whether it's physical, mental, emotional, let your practitioner know, because that becomes what you're going to tap on next, because you're really just dismantling the different layers of this story. And whatever your body or your mind or your emotions reveal to you are exactly what you and your infinite wisdom need to be clearing next in order for you to reach a critical mass of limiting and collapsing and removing that story out of your body. So pay attention next and see what comes up. If you hit a really big emotional point, and you might, doesn't happen often, but if you do, don't panic. Our tendency in our training oftentimes is to then fall apart and let ourselves just cry and start telling the story of what happened. Your practitioner is not going to let you do that. Your practitioner is going to tell you, go back to tapping, go back to tapping. We don't need to retell the story, and we don't need to sit in the emotional intensity of it, because we're not re-anchoring the story in the brain, which is oftentimes what happens if we told the story so many times that it's part of our pattern. We're getting in and disrupting the story. And the best, fastest, easiest, and honestly least painful way to get through this is to let your practitioner lead you then to the next setup phrase. So if your practitioner is telling you, just keep tapping, do what your practitioner says, just keep tapping, and you'll keep moving through this. You'll get to a point where very quickly you'll start to feel better if you keep moving the energy. But if you get stuck in the story or you stop tapping, oftentimes you leave yourself in a really raw and vulnerable place. Let your practitioner continue to work with you and walk you through the process. Even if for a very short period of time it feels intense, let your practitioner keep leading you. If you keep tapping and you keep moving through the points, you'll move through the other side of it very quickly. And as soon as you do, you'll create this great opening for you to insert inside of your story, for you to reclaim for yourself in a great sovereign and powerful way the story you choose, the story that you want to tell about yourself, your life, your experiences, who you are, what you believe to be true about yourself. So let yourself go through that so you can create that spaciousness through loving and accepting yourself, that opening for a reframe of the narrative. You'll also know sometimes that it's working, especially for those of you, again, who have an open sacral. You'll know that it's working if you start to burp, if you start to get chills, if you get goosebumps, if you sometimes feel hot or cold or restless. There are lots of different ways that the body can demonstrate that it's releasing and moving energy. Again, all good signs. Do remember that this is an energy process. So before you even start tapping, before you show up to your practitioner session, make sure you got a lot of water with you. Your practitioner might ask you during your session to drink some water. You want to stay hydrated throughout this whole process because it keeps it moving and makes it easier for you to keep working and moving the energy. I hope this has given you a really good overview of what to expect. I really want you to acknowledge and honor for yourself that you've made a really important, powerful decision to start shifting your narrative in one of the most effective ways that I have found to really make sure that you are that you're able to start moving this stuff out of your body and out of your mind and reframing your story. EFT is now rooted in more than 15 years of peer-reviewed studies. It's an incredibly powerful way for you to reframe your narrative, for you to start shifting your perspective, for you to clear energies that you may be holding in your body, including ancestral patterns, and make space for you to begin to take back control over your narrative, over your story, and live the life you were born to live. I look forward to seeing you hopefully in a quantum alignment program sometime soon, or in some of the quantum alignment system trainings and classes and courses. Best of luck to you. Have fun. It's going to be amazing for you.